You think you're using Adobe because it's the best tool for the job, that you chose it freely, that if you ever wanted to leave, you could. But every month, the charge hits your card. And every month, you hesitate. Not because you love it, but because leaving feels dangerous. Your files live there, your workflow lives there, your clients expect it. Your muscle memory depends on it. You didn't sign up for a trap, you signed up to create. Yet somehow, creativity became rent. And the longer you stay, the harder escape feels. This isn't about software quality. It's about why quitting feels like losing part of your professional identity. What if Adobe's real product was dependence, not creativity at all? For decades, Adobe was simple. You bought the software, you owned it. You upgraded when you wanted. Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere. Tools that felt like assets, not obligations. Then something quietly changed. Ownership disappeared, subscriptions arrived, and creativity stopped being something you held. It became something you rented. At first, it didn't feel dangerous. Monthly payments sounded cheaper, updates felt convenient. Everything was framed as progress. But progress came with a condition. Stop paying and the tools vanish. Not paused. Gone. Your files still exist, but you can't fully open them. Your projects remain, but you can't edit them. Your past work becomes locked behind a paywall you already built. This is the moment most creators feel a strange tension. Not anger, not panic. A quiet realization. You don't just use Adobe anymore. Your career is structured around it. And that raises a disturbing question. If the tool controls whether you can work, who really owns your creativity? How did a software company turn professional freedom into permanent dependence? You probably believe Adobe keeps you because it's simply better, that the features are unmatched, that alternatives just aren't industry standard. That belief feels reasonable. It's also incomplete. Adobe didn't just improve tools, it redesigned the environment around them. File formats became proprietary, workflows became interconnected, projects stopped being portable. A Photoshop file isn't just an image. It's layers, masks, effects, smart objects, all interpreted best by Adobe itself. Open it elsewhere and something breaks. Export it out and flexibility dies. The same happens across the suite. Illustrator talks to Photoshop. Premiere talks to After Effects. After Effects talks to Media Encoder. Every connection saves time. Every connection also tightens the knot. You don't notice it day to day, because friction is invisible when it's familiar. But the moment you consider leaving, the cost appears all at once. New software means retraining your hands, rebuilding shortcuts, explaining to clients why files look different, why delivery takes longer, why collaboration isn't seamless anymore. Adobe didn't trap you by force. It made staying feel efficient and leaving feel reckless. That's the belief flip. You didn't choose Adobe because it's best. You stayed because switching became painful. But why would Adobe want switching to hurt this much? Now imagine actually trying to quit. Not hypothetically, for real. You cancel the subscription, the tools shut off, deadlines don't, your files open in limited mode, your revisions stop, your income pauses. Suddenly, the risk isn't inconvenience, it's survival. This is the fear most creatives never say out loud. Not that Adobe is expensive, but that losing access means losing credibility. Clients expect Adobe files, agencies expect Adobe pipelines, teams expect compatibility. So even if cheaper tools exist, they feel unsafe. Not because they're bad, but because they're unfamiliar. And unfamiliar feels risky when your reputation is on the line. Adobe understood this early, that professionals don't fear cost, they fear interruption. So the system was built to attach Adobe to continuity itself. Work equals access. Access equals payment. The longer you use it, the more your history accumulates inside the ecosystem. Years of projects, archived files, templates, presets. Walking away doesn't just mean learning new software. It means abandoning part of your past work. That's when creators stop asking, Is this worth the price? And start asking, can I afford to lose this? At that point, the decision isn't free anymore. It's defensive. This fear wasn't accidental. It was engineered into the system. Here's the hidden rule most people miss. Adobe didn't just sell software. It repositioned itself as infrastructure. Once creativity became digital, whoever controlled the tools controlled the pipeline. Adobe moved early, earlier than competitors, earlier than users realized what that meant. The subscription model wasn't about predictable revenue. That was a side effect. The real objective was permanence. Subscriptions turn products into environments. They erase the concept of done paying. As long as you are working, you are renting. Adobe layered this with switching costs that grow over time. Not all at once. Gradually. Each project adds dependency. Each update deepens integration. Each collaboration reinforces standardization. And most importantly, Adobe aligned itself with institutions. Schools teach Adobe. Certifications reward Adobe. Job listings assume Adobe. By the time someone enters the workforce, the ecosystem is already chosen for them. They don't adopt Adobe, they inherit it. That's the turning point. Adobe no longer competes on features, it competes on inevitability. At that stage, even dissatisfaction doesn't break the system. Because leaving feels like opting out of the industry itself. The brilliance and the danger of this model is that it doesn't feel aggressive. It feels normal, routine, professional. And when control feels normal, it becomes invisible. If this system is so powerful, what does it teach us about modern ownership? This story isn't really about Adobe. It's about how modern power works. Ownership today isn't about possessing objects. It's about controlling access. The gate matters more than the tool. Adobe teaches a hard lesson. The moment your work depends on a platform, freedom shrinks, not suddenly, silently. But this isn't a moral failure by users. It's a structural outcome. Systems reward convenience first, dependence later. Understanding this doesn't mean you must quit Adobe. That's not the point. The point is awareness. When you know the cost isn't just money, it's flexibility. You make better decisions. You back up in open formats. You diversify skills. You avoid building your entire identity inside one ecosystem. Power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it offers help, then slowly becomes necessary. Adobe isn't evil, it's efficient. And efficiency, when scaled, becomes control. Once you see this pattern, you start noticing it everywhere. In software, in finance, in platforms you rely on every day. That's the relief. Not escape, but clarity. And if this model is spreading everywhere, where does it leave you next? Adobe is no longer an exception. It's a blueprint. The same logic now governs much of the digital world. Software, finance, media, even work itself. Access replaces ownership, subscriptions replace assets, and systems quietly position themselves as unavoidable. What makes Adobe's case so important is how early it proved the model. Once creators accepted renting their tools, the door opened everywhere else. Music, cloud storage, productivity, AI. Each system promises convenience. Each system removes an exit. Not forcefully, structurally. For professionals, this reshapes careers. You are no longer just building skills. You are building dependency paths. The more specialized the ecosystem, the higher the switching cost. The deeper the integration, the harder the escape. And the more standard the platform becomes, the more invisible its control feels. This doesn't mean the future is hopeless. It means the rules have changed. Power now belongs to those who understand systems early, not those who react late. The winners are not the ones who avoid platforms entirely. They are the ones who never let a single platform define their entire value. Adobe shows us the future clearly, not a world of ownership, but a world of permission. So how do you survive in a world where permission replaces ownership? If you've ever felt trapped inside a system you didn't fully choose, you're not alone. That feeling isn't weakness, it's awareness forming. RIN. Wealth exists for this exact reason. Not to tell you what to quit, but to help you see what you're standing inside. Every empire we decode follows the same pattern. They don't take freedom overnight. They rent it slowly. When you understand how these systems work, fear loses its grip. You stop blaming yourself, and you start thinking like an owner, even when ownership isn't literal. This channel isn't about outrage, it's about clarity. So you can move deliberately instead of reactively. If this story made something click for you, you belong here. Subscribe. Not for motivation, but for understanding. Because once you see the system, you don't get trapped by it again. The next empire we decode might already control part of your life.